All right, if you're gearing up for the MSRA, you know those contraception questions can be, well, a bit of a nightmare. But what if I told you there's a mental toolkit that can help you get them right every single time? Well, that's exactly what we're going to build together right now. Let's get into it.
So how do you actually master this stuff for your exam? Look, it all comes down to having a really clear, repeatable process. You don't need to memorize every single guideline out there. Instead, we're going to build a super simple framework that just cuts through all that noise and gets you to the right answer, and fast.
Okay, so the entire framework, everything we're about to talk about, hinges on one single question you have to ask yourself right at the start. And that is this an emergency or is it routine? Getting this first step right, absolutely critical. It changes everything. And here you can see that big fork in the road we're talking about. On one side, you've got the emergency path. The big trigger here, a patient comes in after unprotected sex, or UPS. Simple as that. Then on the other side, you've got the routine path. This is for your everyday long-term prevention. Seriously, if you can just figure out which of these two paths you're on, you are already halfway to the correct answer. All right, so let's take that first path, the emergency route. To absolutely nail these questions, forget the textbook. All you need is a simple but really powerful checklist. And here it is. For any emergency contraception question that comes your way, you immediately check these three things. Number one, time. How long has it been since the unprotected sex? This is going to tell you which pills are even on the table. Number two, BMI. Is it over 30? And number three, drugs. Is the patient on any enzyme-inducing meds? Now, those last two are super important because they can make the oral options way less effective. So this flowchart here shows you exactly how it all fits together. Look, if it's been less than 72 hours, levonorgestrel is an option. If it's been up to 120 hours, that's 5 days, ulipristal is an option. But, and this is the key part, notice what happens if that BMI is over 30 or if they're on those enzyme-inducing drugs. The flowchart points you straight to one single definitive answer, no matter what the time frame is.
And that answer is the copper IUD. You have to remember this. The copper IUD is the gold standard for emergency contraception. It is by far the most effective choice. And, crucially, it's not affected by BMI or those enzyme-inducing drugs. So, pro tip for the exam, if the copper IUD is an answer choice and it's not contraindicated, it's pretty much always the right answer.
Okay, so let's talk about the traps. What should you not pick? Because you know, exam questions love to throw in these distractors. First up, the combined oral contraceptive pill, the COCP. This is for routine use, period. It is not a form of emergency contraception. And the other big one, don't mix up the Mirena coil with the copper IUD. Yeah, Mirena is a coil, but it's hormonal and it is not licensed for emergency use. Only copper will do the job here.
Right, let's switch gears and head down that second major pathway, routine contraception. So here, the game completely changes. We're not racing against the clock anymore. Instead, it's all about matching the perfect long-term method to the patient that's right in front of you.
And this is the absolute classic MSRA scenario. I guarantee you'll see something like this. You get a teenager, they've got some acne, their periods are all over the place, but otherwise they're healthy. The answer? It's the combined oral contraceptive pill, the COCP. Why? Well, it's brilliant for this. It's great at regulating their cycle, and it can really help with acne. For this type of patient, it is the #1 first-line choice. But of course, it's never that simple, is it? The exam is definitely going to test you on when the COCP is the wrong answer. So let's dive into the really crucial exceptions and the common pitfalls you need to look out for. Okay, you're going to want to pay close attention here. If your patient has any of these things, we're talking migraine with aura, if they're a smoker over 35, or have a history of blood clots, uncontrolled high blood pressure, or heart disease, the COCP is a huge no-go. It is absolutely contraindicated. The estrogen in it is just too risky. If you see any of these in the question stem, you have to pick something else. So, what's that something else? Well, if the COCP is off the table, your brain should immediately jump to the progesterone-only pill, or the POP. This is your go-to alternative when you can't use estrogen. Just a heads up, though, it has its own little quirks. It can cause some irregular bleeding, and funnily enough, unlike the COCP, it can sometimes make acne a bit worse.
And here's another trap the examiners love to set, the contraceptive injection. Now, don't get me wrong, it's an effective method, but it's often the wrong answer for a teenage patient. You've got to be really cautious here. Why? Well, it can make acne worse, it's linked to weight gain, and, this is the big one, it can temporarily reduce bone mineral density. And that's a huge deal for a teenager who's still building up their bone strength for life.
Whew, okay, we have covered a lot of ground, right? We've gone down the emergency path, we've gone down the routine path, so let's pull it all together now. Let's boil it all down into a powerful, super concise summary that you can literally take with you into your exam. You know, when you really get down to it, all of this comes down to just four golden rules. That's it, just 4 simple statements that basically sum up this entire framework. Let's run through them. Rule number 1. If a coil is an option for emergency contraception, you always choose copper. Rule 2. If the patient has acne, your first thought is COCP. Rule 3. In an emergency situation with a BMI over 30 or those enzyme-inducing drugs, the answer is, you guessed it, copper. And finally, Rule 4. The POP is your go-to backup when the COCP is a no-go. Honestly, master these 4 rules, and you have pretty much mastered contraception for the MSR. And you know what? If you want to boil it down even further, here's your ultimate one-liner for exam day. Ready? Time since sex. That points you to the emergency plan. Got a patient with acne? That points you to the COCP. High BMI or tricky drugs in an emergency? That points you straight to copper. It really is that simple. So take this framework, run through a few practice questions with it, and I promise you, you're going to walk into that exam feeling so much more confident and in control. You've totally got this.